Okay, day number 3 complete. It is raining and cold here in Ireland. The sun lasted a few days. Now it's normal Irish summer weather. But today was a good day. We did an in-depth scene study of Tom Murphy's Conversation on Homecoming with an Irish director here in town, and we did 2 read-throughs, and then we broke the script down into what he refers to as events as opposed to beats. He says it's related, but not the same. And I liked it a little more than beats. While I understand the usage of beats and like its history and its applications, I liked the events because the way he describes his breakdowns are of events and intentions, and how events change intentions for each character. Like, yeah, they can say the same, but generally they don't. And so that was really fun. I read for the role of Tom, who was one of the main characters in it, and it was interesting. And we got it up on its feet, similar to how we initially laid the ground plan for Good Person of Szechuan with Kendra Holton. We worked through it with a Meisner repetition for that show, but this one we got it up, and we had read through the script a few times, so we were familiar with the arc of the first scene. But we went through the events, and we just kind of acted it out without the script. And found the relationship and the overall feel of it, and we just gradually would go back to the very beginning and start over again, and then add in moment by moment, and then go back to the beginning, start in over moment by moment, and it was a really good way to get somebody off book without being off book. Like, once you memorize the flow and the events of the script, I think it's a lot easier to go back and memorize lines. So, as a director and an actor, I think that's like a really useful way to approach it, and that's like the typical way he would direct a show here. Excuse me. And then in Movement with Sue, we explored relationship to color. Like, we did like a really good warm-up, and then we would identify a single color in the room and like single it out and establish a connection and apply a relationship to that color. And then we would tie it to our core with like imaginary lines to all the items in the room that were that color, and see where like changing our orientation, so like if crouching down, like changing the way we were connecting to that changed how we felt with our breath and our body and our movement. And that was really interesting. We used 3 colors, and I had very strong ties, like emotional ties, that I ascribed to each of them, and it really, really affected the way I moved. Movement is an area I really need to improve on, in like how I use my body on stage and how conscious I am of my breathing, which ties into, we had our first strictly voice lesson, not dialect, but we have a voice coach named Cadel Quinn, who's an actor and well-known guy around here, and he taught us the basics of like loosening our body, all of our joints, and like aligning and grounding ourselves so that we have really good breath support. Like I've talked about it a lot in various acting classes I've taken, and several like movement and voice classes, but the way he taught it stuck a little more, I think, and it made it more clear, because I always have a really hard time remembering physical warm-ups if I don't do them consistently. Like, I'm really not good at keeping a repertoire of things to do in the back of my head. And so he gave us some really great warm-ups and exercises that I think I can remember to use when I go home. And so that was really cool. And he's very knowledgeable, and he's a good teacher, and it's really interesting to work with him. We also had partnered up and like felt each other's bodies as we breathed in the different parts, like the collarbones versus the shoulder blades versus like below the ribs versus the hips. And he said something that really was interesting to me, is he's like, some people say that like you're breathing, like it stops around your belly button, but he says if you imagine that your throat goes all the way down to your pelvic floor, it helps a lot. And like breathing in through your feet. So, I don't think I have a huge problem with breath support, but there's definitely some room for improvement in how I warm up my body and how I protect my voice. So the training today was really good. I think I walked away with a lot of knowledge about what I can improve on as far as how I use my body on stage and off. So it was a good day, day 3. Tomorrow we start working on The Playboy of the Western World by Singh. So I gotta go read that. So until Friday.